Hi, I'm Laura. 3 months ago, I was picking out floral arrangements and addressing invitations for what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. Now I'm sitting across from my father in a sterile conference room while his attorney shuffles papers nervously. Dad, I just don't understand why this is such a big deal, I said, clutching my coffee mug to stop my hands from shaking. Tyler has been to jail twice for assault. The second victim was a woman at a wedding. My father leaned back in his chair, his face a mask of calm certainty I'd seen countless times growing up. Your sister loves him, Laura. Family means accepting people, flaws and all. I accept that Melissa loves him. That doesn't mean I have to invite someone with a violent history to my wedding. Dad's jaw tightened. I raised you better than this. We don't exclude family. He's not family. They've been dating for 4 months. He will be family eventually. Melissa says they're serious. My fiancé James reached for my hand under the table. Sir, with all due respect, this is our wedding. We need to feel comfortable with everyone there. Dad barely glanced at James. When you've been a father for 30 years, then you can tell me about respect. I felt that familiar knot forming in my stomach. Dad, please. This one time, can you just support my decision? I've supported you your entire life. Paid for college, helped with your down payment. But this? This is where I draw the line. You invite Tyler, or I won't be walking you down the aisle. The words hung in the air between us. I waited for him to take it back, to soften, to show any sign he didn't mean it. You'd really skip your daughter's wedding over this? James asked, voice tight with disbelief. Dad stood up, straightening his jacket. I'm not skipping anything. I'll be there, if Tyler is invited. Ball's in your court, Laura. After he left, I sat in stunned silence until my phone buzzed with a text from my best friend Zoe. How did it go? I called her immediately. He said he won't walk me down the aisle. I managed, my voice cracking. He what? Zoe's voice rose sharply. Over Tyler? The guy who put someone in the hospital last year? Apparently my sister's 4-month relationship trumps my entire life as his daughter. This is insane, Zoe said. What did your mom say? She just sat there silently like always. Have you talked to Melissa? Maybe she could talk some sense. Melissa's the one who told him I wasn't inviting Tyler in the first place. She knew exactly what she was doing. Laura, honey, take a breath. What are you going to do? I stared at my engagement ring, watching it catch the light. The wedding is happening with or without him. But I won't forget this, Zoe. Not ever. What do you mean? I mean, I'm done letting my father control everything, and I think it's time everyone knew exactly who Robert Edwards really is. Your father did what? My Uncle Phil leaned forward, coffee forgotten on the table between us. The diner buzzed with morning activity around us, but his shocked expression held my full attention. Refuse to walk me down the aisle unless I invite Tyler, I repeated. Have you met him? Once. At Christmas. Didn't say much, but kept eyeing your grandmother's silver. Uncle Phil shook his head. But that's beside the point. Your dad is really willing to miss your wedding over this? Apparently. That doesn't sound like the brother I know. He's always been about family appearances. I stirred my coffee absently. That's just it. I think Melissa has something on him. They've been weirdly close lately. What do you mean? Secret conversations, meeting for lunch without telling Mom, and whenever I bring up the foundation finances, they change the subject. Uncle Phil's expression changed subtly. The Edwards Family Foundation? What about it? Probably nothing, but Dad's been evasive about the annual report. When I asked to see it, since I'm technically on the board, he said the accountant was still finalizing things. For 6 months? Uncle Phil's eyebrows shot up. You noticed that too? Laura, I've been asking questions about those finances myself. Your grandmother left very specific instructions about how that money should be distributed. And I'm not sure your father's been following them. My phone lit up with a call from Melissa. I declined it. She's been calling nonstop, I explained, alternating between guilt trips and threats. What kind of threats? That I'll regret dividing the family. that Dad might cut me out of his will. Uncle Phil's face hardened. You know, your grandmother worried about something like this happening. That's why she set up the foundation the way she did. What do you mean? She made all 3 grandchildren equal trustees. Your father may be the executor, but he can't make unilateral decisions. Does that include financial decisions? Especially those. Uncle Phil pulled out his phone. I think we need to talk to Charles Morton. Dad's lawyer? He won't help us. Not his lawyer, your grandmother's. He retired years ago, but he kept copies of everything. 3 hours later, we sat in Charles Morton's home office, surrounded by dusty folders. This is troubling, Charles said, adjusting his glasses. These transactions show over $2 million moved to offshore accounts. My dad did that? I asked, stunned. Someone with authorization did, Charles replied carefully. And these signatures. I've known your father's handwriting for 40 years. Can we prove it? Asked Zoe, who had joined us after lunch. Charles nodded slowly. With a proper audit, yes. So what's our next move? I asked. That depends, Charles said, on what kind of justice you're looking for. The rehearsal dinner should have been joyful. Instead, tension crackled like static electricity as my father took the seat at the head of the table. My mother sat beside him, eyes down, while Melissa perched smugly next to Tyler, whose presence was a victory flag planted firmly in my father's territory. I'd invited Tyler after all, not for my father, but as part of my plan. Beautiful speech, Dad, I said, sliding into the chair across from him after his standard self-congratulatory toast. Especially the part about family loyalty. I meant every word, he replied, nodding to guests around us. Glad you came to your senses about the guest list. Oh, I came to my senses about a lot of things. I smiled pleasantly. Uncle Phil and I had a fascinating conversation with Charles Morton yesterday. His fork paused halfway to his mouth. Charles is retired. Semi-retired. His memory is crystal clear, though, especially about Grandma's wishes for the foundation. Dad's eyes darted toward Melissa, who was laughing too loudly at something Tyler said. This isn't the time or place, Laura. That's funny coming from the man who threatened to boycott my wedding. I never said, you gave me an ultimatum, either compromise my wedding's safety or lose my father on the most important day of my life. Lower your voice, he hissed. Why? Worried what your golf buddies might think? Or the foundation donors at table 3? What exactly do you want? I want you to admit what you did. To me, to the foundation, all of it. I've done nothing wrong. $2 million, Dad. Offshore accounts, Melissa's new car, Tyler's sudden lack of legal troubles. His face went pale. You don't know what you're talking about. I have copies of everything. Tomorrow, you're either walking me down the aisle as my father, or I'm turning them over to the board. Your choice? You wouldn't dare. It would destroy this family. You already did that when you chose them over me. He grabbed my wrist under the table. You ungrateful little... Problem here? James appeared beside me, eyes locked on my father's grip. Just a disagreement, Dad said, releasing me. Seems like more than that, James replied. And if you ever put your hands on her again, our next conversation won't be nearly as polite. Are you threatening me? My father stood abruptly. Robert! My mother finally spoke. Everyone is watching. I don't care who's watching, he snarled, voice rising. No one threatens me in my own family. This is exactly why Tyler isn't welcome, I said clearly. Men who can't control their tempers. My father's face contorted. You think you're so clever. You have no idea what I could do to you. The room had gone silent. Dad, Melissa hurried over. Let's step outside. No, he snapped. I'm done being manipulated. Laura either drops this nonsense or she's out of the family. Permanently. Uncle Phil stood up. Robert, that's enough. Stay out of this, Phil. Sir, the event manager approached cautiously. I'm going to have to ask you to lower your voice. My father turned, shoving the man backward. Get your hands off me. Dad! I gasped as the manager stumbled into a waiter, sending glasses crashing. I never laid a hand on him, my father insisted as heads turned. He tripped. We all saw what happened, James said quietly. I'm calling security, the manager said, pulling out his phone. Do that and I'll sue this entire establishment, my father threatened. Security arrived anyway. Miss Edwards? The detective slid a cup of coffee across the table. Thank you for coming in. I know this is difficult timing. It's actually Mrs. Chen now, I corrected, glancing at my wedding ring. Despite everything, we'd gone through with the ceremony yesterday. My uncle had walked me down the aisle. Congratulations, she said. I understand your father was arrested at your rehearsal dinner? Yes, for assault and making threats. And you're also reporting financial improprieties? I slid the folder across the table. My grandmother established a charitable foundation. My father has been embezzling from it for years. The detective reviewed the documents carefully. This is extensive. Our financial crimes unit will need to see these. I've already spoken with the foundation board. They're cooperating fully. She made notes. Has your father attempted to contact you since the incident? Multiple times. I've saved the messages. And your sister? She blames me for everything. The detective nodded sympathetically. Family fraud cases are always complicated. After finishing at the police station, I met Zoe and James at the lawyer's office, where my father had requested a meeting. You don't have to do this, James said, squeezing my hand. I do, actually. My father looked smaller somehow, sitting beside his attorney. Melissa sat nearby, her expression a mixture of anger and fear. Laura, Dad began, his voice conciliatory. This has all gone too far. We're family. Is that what you remembered when you chose Tyler over me? Or when you stole from Grandma's foundation? I was borrowing those funds. I always intended to replace them. With what? The money was already gone? I made some bad investments, he admitted reluctantly. But I'm your father. I've loved you your entire life. Love doesn't come with conditions. Everyone makes mistakes, he pleaded. I was trying to protect Melissa. Tyler had some gambling debts. Stop. I held up my hand. I don't care anymore. The board is pressing charges. So am I, for the assault. You can't do this to me, he whispered. I'll lose everything. You already lost me, I replied. The rest is just consequences. 6 weeks later, I sat with Uncle Phil reviewing the foundation's new oversight procedures. The audit confirmed $2.3 million diverted, he said. Your father's facing serious charges. Has Mom said anything? She's filed for separation. Apparently, this wasn't the first time. I nodded, feeling strangely hollow. And Melissa? Moved back home. Tyler disappeared once the money dried up. Shocking, I deadpanned. Zoe brought in a tray of coffee. How are you holding up? Better than expected, I admitted. It still hurts, but it's like a clean break rather than a festering wound. Any regrets? Uncle Phil asked gently. I thought about the empty seat in the front row at my wedding, the space where my father should have been. Only that it took me this long to see him for who he really is. James joined us, kissing the top of my head. The real estate agent called. The house in Seattle is ours if we want it. I smiled up at him. I think a fresh start sounds perfect. To new beginnings, Zoe raised her mug. As we clinked our cups together, I realized something important. Family isn't always who you're born to. Sometimes it's who stands beside you when the truth comes out. Have you ever had to choose between doing what's right and keeping the peace? What would you have done in Laura's shoes?